Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Welcome to Game Time with Hubb, your all-access pass to the hottest stories in football, basketball, boxing, and wrestling. Whether it's game-winning touchdowns, buzzer beaters, knockout punches, or jaw-dropping suplexes, we've got it all covered. He's your host, Hubb.
What's up? Welcome back to Game Time with Hubb. I told y'all week 15 we was going to bounce back from that week 14 slump, and we did exactly that, man. We went 11-5, and that brings the season total to 153, 70-1. That's about 68% on the year. So, yeah, we cooking again. Now, we already kicked off week 16 with a wild one, the Rams versus the Seahawks last night. Seattle completed a 16-point comeback, forces overtime, and wins it. And, yo, Puka Nacua went absolutely nuclear last night, over 200 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Big picture, though, the Seahawks clinched a playoff berth, and now they're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And they sit at top of the NFC West for right now. But please believe, that win last night only opened the doors for the 49ers. So if they can win out, then that sets up a big matchup in Week 18 going up against the Seahawks to see who's going to take over not only the 1 seed, but also the title of the NFC West Division. So we got games all weekend, starting Saturday at 5 p.m. with the Eagles at the Commanders. But before we jump into picks, we got to hit the playoff clinching scenarios because this is the time of year where the math starts talking. All right, let's run this board real quick on these clinch scenarios, starting off with the AFC. We got the Buffalo Bills at 10-4, and they can clinch a playoff berth with a win against Cleveland on Sunday, plus a Houston loss to the Raiders. Or they can win, plus an Indianapolis loss to the 49ers. Now, the Denver Broncos have a couple of things working for them. Now, they can clinch the AFC West with a win, plus a Chargers loss at Dallas on Sunday. Or they can clinch the number 1 seed, plus home field advantage, with a win, plus a Chargers loss, plus a New England loss to Baltimore, plus a Buffalo loss at Cleveland. The Jacksonville Jaguars sitting at 10-4. They can clinch a playoff berth with a win, plus a Houston loss, or win plus an Indianapolis loss. Then we got the LA Chargers at 10-4. They can clinch a playoff berth with a win, plus a Houston loss, or a win plus an Indianapolis loss. And then we got the New England Patriots at 11-3. And they can clinch a playoff berth with just a win, or a Houston loss or Indianapolis loss on Monday rather. And then we got the NFC clinch scenarios. First up is the Chicago Bears sitting at 10-4. They got a big one coming up on Saturday night, and they can clinch a playoff berth with a win plus a Detroit loss to Pittsburgh on Sunday. You got the Green Bay Packers at 9-4-1. They'll be playing those same Bears Sunday night. Now, the Packers can clinch with a playoff berth with a win plus a Detroit loss as well. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles over here, now they have to clinch the NFC East with a win, or if Dallas loses to the Chargers on Sunday at 1 p.m., the Eagles got the Washington Commanders Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then we have the 49ers at 10-4. They got Indianapolis on Monday night. Then the 49ers can clinch a playoff berth with a win, or Detroit loss to Pittsburgh on Sunday. So, yeah, it's not just who wins, it's who wins and who needs help. Now that we got the playoff clinching scenarios wrapped up, let's jump into this weekend's games. We're kicking off Saturday's slate, starting off up in Landover, Maryland. We got the Washington Commanders at 4-10, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 9-5. NFC East divisional game here. Now, Philly walks into this one with a clear formula. Play suffocating defense, control the game, and let the opponent crack first. Since the Week 9 bye, Vic Fangio's unit is first in opponent completion percentage at 51.5%, second in opponent passer rating at 67.2%, and third in points allowed per game at 14.3%. And last week, they held the Raiders to just 75 total yards, fewest yards allowed by a team since 2023. That's not good. That's erase you from the schedule type time. Now, Washington's job is simple, but not easy. Run the ball and keep this from becoming a drop-back game. They started the year hot on the ground, ranked first in rushing yards after 5 weeks, partly because of QB runs, and lately they've rushed for 145 or more yards in 4 of the last 6. Rookie Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt just popped the 96-yard game. Half his yards were after first contact. That tells you the style downhill and violent Chris Rodriguez Jr. brings the power too, but both backs got to help in the pass game because Philly will force third and longs if they can. And here's the stat that matters for Philly. After only 3 receiving touchdowns through the first 9 games, A.J. Brown has 4 receiving TDs over the last 4 games. That's the offense finding its punch again. Now, my keys to this one is, number one, Philly's defense is the one bankable unit. The post-buy numbers are elite, and that kind of defense travels. Number two, Washington's upset path starts with the run game. If they can't stay on schedule, the Eagles' pass rush and coverage will swallow this. And number three, takeaways plus short fields aren't there for Washington. They're ranked 31st in takeaways, so they don't steal possession, and you usually need extra chances to beat a defense like this. Now, there is a little trap game vibe with a Week 17 tilt versus Buffalo looming, and Washington did beat the Giants in Week 15, but the Commanders' defense is terrible. Bottom 5 against both the run and the pass, plus Philly can clinch the NFC East with a win here. My take, stakes plus mismatch equals, I'm not getting cute. My pick here, Eagles. All right, from one defense-led team to a rivalry game that gets weird. We're up at Soldier Field up in Chicago, where we got the Chicago Bears at 10-4, taking on the Green Bay Packers at 9-4-1. This is one of them games where you could throw the records out, but we ain't gonna do that today because the context matters. Green Bay's season got flipped when they traded for Micah Parsons. Now it gets flipped again because Parsons is out with a season-ending torn ACL. He leads the NFL with 83 quarterback pressures, which is 40 more than any other Packer. That's not just losing a player, that's losing an entire we can wreck the game whenever we want button type Tom. But Green Bay's not clueless. Jeff Hafley has an offseason worth of defense in his pocket that didn't include Parsons, and he's proven that he can rally guys. Still, someone has to replace that disruption, even if it's by committee. On the Chicago side, Caleb Williams is trending up. Coach Ben Johnson is talking about mechanics, accuracy, timing, and being more comfortable. And we've got a record-setting case sitting here, too, for Caleb. He only needs 689 passing yards to break the Bears single-season record, which is held currently by Eric Kramer back in 1995 with 3,838. And Saturday night's approach might get more run-heavy because Chicago is dealing with injuries. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden are ruled out. Green Bay's injuries matter, too. Everybody was on the midweek report, basically, and the big one is Christian Watson, who's been emerging as wide receiver 1. But for me, this one screams one thing: possession and turnovers. My 3 key factors in this one is, number 1, turnovers decide who controls the night. Chicago's thrives on takeaways, and Green Bay's split is loud. They're 9-1-1 with 1 or fewer giveaways and 0-3 with multiple giveaways. Number 2, life after Parsons changes Green Bay's defense. 83 pressures don't just reappear. Somebody has to win one-on-ones up front. And number 3, Chicago's run-heavy approach has to carry them through injuries. With Odunze and Burden out, expect more Swift and Monungai and Caleb's legs if needed. 2 weeks ago in Green Bay, Chicago fought to the end. Now they're at home, and the Packers are taking on new injuries. And if Chicago can win the turnover battle, it will be their first home win over Green Bay since Week 15 of 2018. My takeaway in this one is I'm riding with the home team, making the bigger plays on defense in the biggest moments. My pick, the Bears. Now, that's Saturday. Now, let's slide into Sunday where the 1 p.m. slate is loaded. Kicking things off up in Bank of America Stadium up in Charlotte. Got the Carolina Panthers at 7-7. Taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-7. First things first, y'all. Neither one of these teams can be trustworthy right now, so this is why this pick is so hard. I've been thinking about this for the past couple days. Because Tampa's in a tailspin, losing 5 out of 6, including last week's mess where they blew a 14-point fourth-quarter lead against the Falcons. The Panthers just blew a 10-point third-quarter lead to the Saints on Sunday. So, yeah, welcome to the who can actually finish this thing bowl. But here's why it's still huge. These teams are tied at 7-7 for the NFC South lead, and Carolina knows the deal. They need a sweep of Tampa for a realistic shot. Tampa's locker room is saying there's been no finger pointing, and Baker says it's unfair to put it all on the defense. Hey, but listen, the defense been leaking chunk plays. Tampa's defense is allowing 9.8 yards after the catch per reception since Week 10, second most in the NFL in that span, only behind the Eagles at 11.2. That means routine throws become first downs. That's how you lose games late. Now, my key factors in this one is, number 1, late game composure. Somebody has to finish. Both teams have shown they can lead, but then they can also crumble. Number 2, Tampa's tackling, yards after catch problem keeps Carolina alive here. That 9.8 yards after the catch stat screams missed tackles in space. And number 3, Baker's history versus Carolina shapes the pick. As Tampa starter, Baker is 4-0 versus the Panthers, each win by at least 3 points. And Tampa's passing weapons are deep. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, Jalen McMillan. If Baker is right, they can create separation. My take here, I'm betting Tampa responds after Bowles called them out last week, and Baker steadies the ship here. My pick here is the Buccaneers. All right, from chaos to a record chase and an MVP chase in the same game. We're up at Huntington Bank Field up in Cleveland. We got the Cleveland Browns at 3-11, taking on the Buffalo Bills at 10-4. Now, Buffalo's in that mode where when it's ugly, they still win because Josh Allen can just hit the turbo button. Allen says he's focused on the playoffs, but he's also one TD away from history. One more touchdown, and he becomes the youngest and fastest player to reach 300 scores. Now, Cleveland's got one guy playing like the building is on fire, and that's Myles Garrett. He's one sack away from tying the season single record of 22.5, shared by Michael Strahan and TJ Watt, and 1.5 sacks away from breaking it. That's the game record variable here. And Allen's stat lately, he's had 3 passing TDs and no picks in each of his last 2 games. The one note says no Bills QB has ever had 3 straight games with 3 passing TDs, so Allen's chasing history too. Now, Cleveland might have matchup advantages in pressure rate and rushing efficiency, but the Browns have scored 30-plus one time all season. The Bills can survive bad defenses too. They're 4-1 when allowing 30-plus points in 2025. Rest of the NFL is 10, 98-2, and 4-2 when allowing 185-plus rushing yards. Rest of the NFL is 4-25 in that situation. That tells you that they can win weird. So my 3 key factors here is, number 1, Allen's erase button makes Buffalo hard to bet against. He covers mistakes and turns games fast. Number 2, Garrett's record chase is Cleveland's biggest swing factor. If Cleveland flips the game, it's probably him causing it. And number 3, Cleveland's scoring profile doesn't match Buffalo's ceiling. 130-point game all year isn't enough to ride with. So my takeaway in this one is I'm expecting Bills business. With Garrett still making noise, my pick, the Bills. Now let's talk about pressure because that's literally the Chargers and Cowboys story here. We're up at AT&T Stadium here in Arlington, Texas. Got the Dallas Cowboys at 6-7-1, welcoming in the LA Chargers at 10-4. Now, Justin Herbert has been under siege all year. No quarterback has been pressured, hit, sacked more than him all season, and it shows he's sitting on the lowest passer rating of his career at 92.2. He also has 12 interceptions, 3rd most in the league. After throwing only 3 last year, Herbert says he's not changing the style, but the numbers are loud on what happens when protection holds up. Now, when Herbert is pressured below 45%, which is still above league average, he's 8-1 with a 17-5 TD to interception ratio here and 106.7 quarterback rating. When it's above 45%, he's 2-3, 6-7 on the TD to interception ratio, 6-7. And he got a 71.7 quarterback rating. That's the whole game right there. Dallas pressure unit is 15th with 34.4%. So can they crank it up? Maybe. But if they don't, then the Chargers jump out early. LA's pass defense, 1st in passer rating allowed. They can hold the line. So a little note for Dallas. By kickoff, they might already know if they're eliminated from the playoffs if the Eagles win on Saturday. So their head coach, Schottenheimer, says that won't change the message. They all about winning over there. And Dak is 69 passing yards away from his 4,000-yard season, which would tie Tony Romo for most in franchise history. My 3 factors in this one is, number 1, Herbert's pressure rate is the whole matchup. Dallas must make him uncomfortable consistently. Number 2, Chargers pass defense can protect the lead. If they get up, they can force Dak into tight windows. And number 3, Dallas emotional context depends on Saturday. If they already know the season is done, adversity hits different for them. Also, a little fact here, the Cowboys beat the Chiefs and the Eagles in weeks 12 and 13. Then the Chargers turned around and did the same thing in weeks 14 and 15. That's the first time that happened in the season. Does that change the pick? Not really. My takeaway in this one is the Chargers are more steadier, tougher right now. My pick is the Chargers. All right, now it gets a little ugly here in New Orleans. We at the Caesars Superdome with the New Orleans Saints at 4-10, playing host to the New York Jets at 3-11. Then the Jets are coming in with new leadership on defense. Chris Harris debuts as interim defensive coordinator after the Jets allowed 82 points in the last 2 games. He's not flipping everything, more like tweaking it. maybe less blitzing, but there's still a lot to ask midstream. Now, New Orleans is missing weapons. Devon Vele, Devin Neal ruled out. So Tyler Shook is going to be more get the ball out, protect it, and let the run game work. Expect Evan Hall and Audric Estime split carries here. Estime is one of those kids from Jersey. And Kevin Austin Jr. getting more chances. The wild stat for this one is the Jets have 3 takeaways all season, fewest all time through the team's first 14 games. That means they can't flip momentum. They can't steal possessions. They can't help their offense. And the Saints defense, since week 10, they're 7th in EPA per play, allowing 17.8 points per game in that span. That's a little legit over there. Now, my 3 takeaways in this one is, my 3 key factors is, number 1, the Jets don't create extra possessions, and that's deadly. 3 takeaways all year is insane. Number 2, the Saints defense have been top tier lately. That 7th in EPA stretch travels to any matchup. And number 3, Shuck doesn't need fireworks. He needs clean football. If he avoids mistakes, Saints can win the grind. My takeaway in this one is, it's not pretty, but I'm taking a better defense in a steadier direction. My pick here is the Saints. Now we hit the young QB chaos game in New York, where we up in MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We got the New York Jets at 2-12, taking on the Minnesota Vikings at 6-8. This one that's chaos versus chaos, and the reason is simple. Both teams, and they live on the blitz. Minnesota blitzes at a league high of 48.9%. Giants blitz on 41% of dropbacks, highest in the NFL. Quarterback Jackson Dart says what he sees from Brian Flores on tape is chaos. That's real, but Dart has been evaluated for concussions 5 times in his last 10 NFL starts, including the preseason. That's a major concern around his style. On the Vikings side, J.J. McCarthy has a chance to show real progress because the Giants' defense ranks 29th in EPA per play. He just played 2 of his best games against the Commanders, and the Cowboys' defenses ranked 30th and 32nd. But here's the big test. If the Giants blitz like they usually do, McCarthy has had the lowest QBR versus the blitz at 6.5. Also on an injury note, the Vikings lost Jonathan Greenard and Josh Metellus to IR. Minnesota's offensive line remain a concern. And even though the Giants' D-line hasn't met expectations, rookie Abdul Carter has been turning it up lately. My 3 key factors here is, number 1, it's a blitz fest. The quarterback who handled chaos wins. Pressure reads and hot throws are everything in this one. Number 2, McCarthy's recent growth gets tested by his biggest weakness. That blitz QBR is something to worry about. And number 3, injuries reduce the fear factor, but roster focus still matters. Giants haven't won since week 6, and late season focus is a separator. My takeaway in this one is, I think both young QBs make plays and mistakes, but Minnesota's roster is what's going to win it for them here. My pick here, the Vikings. Now we get the weirdest Chiefs situation in a decade. We're up at Nissan Stadium up in Nashville, where the Tennessee Titans at 2-12 playing host to the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-8. For the first time in a decade, we're looking at Kansas City and saying, I don't know what version we're getting. Mahomes tore 2 ligaments in his left knee. He's out, and the Chiefs are eliminated from playoff contention. That means Gardner Minshew is starting the final 3 games, and it's basically an audition because Kansas City doesn't have another quarterback under contract for 2026. Tennessee is trying to end the season with some pride here, and they found an identity. Tony Pollard has back-to-back 100-yard rushing games, and they're physical and run first. Tennessee also hasn't won consecutive home games at Nissan since December 2021, so they're chasing that too. The Titans are 4-2 versus the Chiefs since Andy Reid became the head coach in 2013, one of only 4 teams with a winning record versus Kansas City under Reid. That's a little stat nugget for y'all. Now, Kansas City defense is the one thing I still trust. But if Minshew gets loose with the ball, and remember he has more interceptions than TDs in his last 13 games, dating back to last season, Tennessee can absolutely make this uncomfortable. Plus, Rashee Rice is in concussion protocol, so his status is up in the air. My 3 factors in this one is, number 1, of course, without Mahomes, we're judging Casey's response. Identity shift, energy shift, who shows up? Number 2, Titans' run game is the control lever. Pollard can shrink the game and limit possessions. And number 3, Minshew turnovers or the upset button. If he gives short fields, Casey can lose ugly. My takeaway in this one is, I don't see a scenario where Kansas City quits. I think they play angry behind the defense. So my pick here, plus Titans, I think the Titans a little bit worse than the Chiefs, so I'm going to pick the Chiefs. All right, now we hit Miami with a QB change. That changes everything. We're up at Hard Rock Stadium up in Miami, where the Miami Dolphins at 6-8 welcoming in the Cincinnati Bengals at 4-10. Both teams are eliminated, so the story becomes evaluation. But Miami just made the biggest decision of McDaniel's coaching career. He benches Tua and starts Quinn Ewers. And Miami saying they don't plan on changing much because Ewers has a strong grasp of the playbook. That's either a spark or it's a risky bet. Since he's evaluating too, including rookies, and that can include Shamar Stewart, potentially returning from IR. Jamar Chase here, he has a career-high 6 100-yard receiving games this season. Now, Joe Burrow had a rough week last week, 2 picks, no TDs, shutout loss, but I'm not letting one bad week erase what he is. On the other side, Miami can keep it close if they just feed Devon Achane because Cincinnati's run defense is ranked 32, and Baltimore just ripped them up for 189 yards on 7.9 yards per carry. My 3 key factors in this one is, number 1, Miami's quarterback switch adds volatility. New starter plus same playbook can mean boom or bust. Number 2, Cincy's best path is Burrow bounce back. Proven QB matters here in late game execution. And number 3, Miami can keep it close by running it. Bengals run defense is last. That's the lever. Now my takeaway in this one is, if it turns into a shootout or a clutch game, I'm riding with Burrow. My pick here, the Bengals. Next up, we head to Glensdale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium. We got the Arizona Cardinals at 3-11, playing host to the Atlanta Falcons at 5-9. Now, this game is a tight end showcase. Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich said he kind of slept on Trey McBride last season, man. Now, he's calling him the engine of Arizona's offense, and that right there is key. McBride just went 12 catches, 134 yards, and 2 TDs, and he leads the NFL in receptions with 105. But Atlanta's bringing the heat too, and not just at tight end. Kyle Pitts Sr. is coming off a monster 166-yard, 3 TD game, and Atlanta's defense is second in sacks with 48, and 15 of those are by rookies. James Pierce Jr., who leads with 8 sacks. Arizona's issue is the defense. Since the Week 8 bye, they're allowing 33.4 points per game, and they only won once in their last 12 games. They'll be without Paris Johnson Jr., and they might get Marvin Harrison Jr. back. Atlanta might get Drake London back as well. He hasn't played since November 16th and still leads the team in receiving yards and TDs. That's how important he is. My 3 keys to this one is, number 1, Arizona's defense is leaking points. That 33.4 points per game trend is how you lose games fast. Number 2, the tight end battle can shape the entire game. Pitts versus McBride is a weekly game plan by itself. And number 3, Atlanta's pass rush can control Arizona's rhythm. 48 sacks is real. It forces checkdowns. My takeaway in this one is, Atlanta has more ways to win, and Arizona's defense isn't holding up. My pick here, Falcons. Now we get to one of the best games of the weekend, the Jags and the Broncos up at Empire Field in Mile High. We got the Denver Broncos at 12-2. Playing host to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 10-4. This is high stakes, late December. This is the kind of stuff that we love. The chess match in this one is definitely in the red zone. Denver's red zone defense is the best in the NFL. Opponents scored TDs on just 38.5% of trips. But Jacksonville's red zone offense have been cooking during their 5-game win streak. TDs on 70.8% of their red zone drives. And Trevor Lawrence has an NFL high 10 red zone passing TDs during that streak. Denver's defense, they also bring the quick pressure. And the Broncos have 27 sacks in 7 home games. Lawrence has been tough under the quick pressure this season. He's 18th at 11.4% of dropbacks. And he wasn't sacked in 3 of the last 5 games, but the Texans were the last team to truly beat him up. 50% pressure, 5 sacks, and that was the last time he posted a passer rating under 80, which was 74.2. Denver sits with the league second highest pressure rate at 40.5%. Jags' win streak includes beating the Chargers at home, beating the Cardinals in OT, dominating the Colts. Daniel Jones went out early in that one. The Titans, and then the Jets. But this is arguably the toughest opponent they'll face. And if you struggle on third down, which the Jags rank 25th, Denver is not the place to find them answers. A little quick stat here for y'all. Broncos running back R.J. Harvey has 6 rushing TDs and 4 receiving TDs. He needs 1 receiving TD to become the 5th rookie ever with 5 receiving and 5 rushing TDs. Might want to plug him in for your FanDuel anytime TDs. Now, my 3 key factors here are, number 1, red zone chess. Denver clamps versus Jacksonville surge. That's where this game gets decided. Number 2, pressure is Denver's home superpower. Sacks and quick pressures are different in Mile High. And number 3, the stakes here are massive. And Denver's chasing the top seed math. Urgency usually shows up in the trenches. My takeaway in this one, home defense plus pressure plus red zone, I'm taking Denver. My pick, Broncos. All right, now we hit Detroit, where the Lions can make it real uncomfortable. We up at Ford Field, where the Detroit Lions at 8-6, playing host to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8-6. Now, I don't really like this matchup for Pittsburgh. If Detroit's pass rush show up, Pittsburgh's defense might be without T.J. Watt again as he recovers from surgery from a partially collapsed lung. And Nick Herbig is questionable with a hamstring. They might get rookie D-tackle Derek Harmon back, which matters for run defense. Detroit wants more balance here. Dan Campbell wants David Montgomery to be more involved after only 7 carries for 32 yards last week. Even with Jahmyr Gibbs emerging and Detroit scoring is a problem, they lead the league at 30.6 points per game, and at home it jumps to 33.7. Now, the Steelers' offense has shown a little bit of life lately. But we're talking about a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers with limitations. Rodgers is averaging 5.6 air yards per attempt, the fewest among 32 qualified QBs, and under pressure in 2025, just completing 37.1%, worse than the league. Detroit's pressure rate is 37.8. That's the 6th highest. So that's a bad combo of your Pittsburgh. My 3 key factors in this one is, number 1, Detroit's pressure versus Rodgers under pressure is the mismatch. Those numbers don't lie. Number 2, Lions' home scoring forces teams to chase. If Detroit gets ahead, Pittsburgh has to throw more. And number 3, the Steelers' injuries weaken the formula they need. Missing Watt and banged up pieces makes it harder to win the trench game here. My takeaway in this one is the Lions can control this at home and keep Rodgers uncomfortable. My pick here is the Lions. Now, the Texans get a handle business spot at home. We're up at NRG Stadium, where the Houston Texans at 9-5, playing host to the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-12. Whether it's Geno Smith or Kenny Pickett, the Raiders' biggest issue here is the same: that offensive line. They've allowed 4 more sacks in 9 games. That's how drives die, field position flips, and the defense gets stuck in the mud. Houston's defense is number 1, and Vegas is basically last in everything. Points per game at 14, total offense at 244.1, rushing yards at 70.8, and sacks allowed at 54. And Houston is championship level on defense, 16.3 points allowed, 269.2 yards allowed per game. Look, 65% of Raiders running back Aston Genty's rushing yards are after contact, highest rate in the NFL among qualified backs. That's one of the few bright spots they got for the Raiders. Otherwise, you're hoping for random magic from a roster that's been floundering. Also, the Raiders are averaging 11.5 points per game over their 8-game losing streak, and that includes one 29-point anomaly and 2 shutouts against the league's toughest defense. My 3 factors in this one is, number 1, Houston's number 1 defense meets a last-place offense. That's the mismatch of the day. Number 2, Raiders' offensive line problems make quarterback uncertainty worse. Sacks kill any plan. And number 3, Houston's momentum is real after turning it around. They're rolling, and they're at home. My takeaway in this one is, ain't nothing to overthink. My pick is the Texans. Now we hit prime time, Patriots-Ravens with big playoff math on the AFC side. We're at M&T Bank Stadium, Sunday Night Football. Got the Baltimore Ravens at 7-7, welcoming in the New England Patriots at 11-3. Now, the Patriots just had their 10-game win streak snapped by Josh Allen, and it stung because they were up 21-0 and couldn't close it out. Vrabel tells his team to expect Baltimore to run it at them just like Buffalo did because New England's run defense had issues, line of scrimmage, gap integrity, building the wall, and the injuries matter. Defensive tackle Milton Williams is still on IR, and Robert Spillane has been slow and missed last week, and he will also be out this week as well. Baltimore's big issue is red zone offense. They rank 31st, scoring TDs only 44% of the time. And here's the twist. They're facing the Patriots defense that ranks dead last in red zone defense, allowing TDs 75% of the time. That's the collision point. A quick stat here is Drake May leads the NFL on the roll in QBR at 79.2, completion percentage at 70.2%, and yards per attempt at 9.2. That's insane for road football. And Lamar on the other side, since returning from injury, he hasn't been the same. The split is real from early season to weeks 9 through 15. passing production down, completion percentage down, TD to interception ratio down, passer rating down, rushing efficiency is down. Meanwhile, Baltimore is 3-5 at home, and New England is 6-0 on the road. My three key factors in this one is, number one, Drake May's road production is elite, and it travels. Those road QB numbers are game-changing. Number two, red zone collision decides it. Ravens struggle to finish, Pat struggled defending it. Somebody has to win inside the 20. And number three, Lamar dip plus home road splits tilted. If Baltimore can't start fast, the Pats can steal it late. My takeaway in this one is, I'm taking a road team that's been perfect away from home. My pick here is the Patriots. All right, Monday Night Football, and we're closing it with the 49ers trying to clinch a playoff berth here. We up at Lucas Oil Stadium up in Indianapolis, where the Indianapolis Colts at 8-6, welcoming in the San Francisco 49ers at 10-4. This one has the wildest subplot. There was a reality where Phillip Rivers came back years ago and was connected to the 49ers when their QB room got hurt. Shanahan even confirmed they talked enough that Rivers sat on some video calls. Now, Rivers is in Indy, and he's trying to keep the Colts afloat after coming out of retirement to replace an injured Daniel Jones. But the Colts offense is trending the wrong way. In their last 4 games, they posted their 4 lowest yardage marks of the season, averaging 17.8 points in that stretch. Rivers threw for 120 yards last week. The Colts have scored under 20 points in 3 straight games, and they haven't hit 4 straight since 2017. San Francisco identity is control. They're converting a league's best 60% on third down, dominating time possession, and since the Week 10 loss to the Rams, they've won 4 straight, all by double digits. They're 7-0 versus sub-500 teams, but 2-3 versus winning teams. And that raises questions about how good Indy is right now, especially with the offense limited. My 3 key factors is, number one, 49ers control games with third downs and time possession. That 60% third down clip keeps the machine running. Number 2, Indy's offense ceiling is limited with Rivers right now. 120 yards last week tells you the constraints. And number 3, the Colts scoring trend is moving wrong at the worst time. 3 straight under 20 against a hot team is a tough ask. My takeaway in this one, I respect Rivers, but I don't see Indy keeping pace with San Francisco's drive game. My pick here, 49ers. All right, quick recap of the Week 16 picks. We got Eagles, Bears, Buccaneers, Bills, Chargers, Saints, Vikings, Chiefs, Bengals, Falcons, Broncos, Lions, Texans, Patriots. Ended Monday night with the 49ers. If you're rocking with the bounce back run, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment your picks, and tell me where I'm right and where I'm bugging. Follow me on socials at Game Time with Hubb and tap in with me everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere you get your sports content. My podcast can be found on Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. Until next time, let's keep it good. Enjoy Week 16, and we'll be back next week. It's your boy Hubb, and I'm out. Remember, it's game time.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Game Time with Hubb. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss Game Time action. See you next time.